Hi, I'm Lisa and I'm from the Pretty Sweaty Stuff Yoga. So we'll start in hero's pose, sat on top of the shins, maybe on top of a cushion or a block. But if it doesn't feel good, just come to a different seated position. Closing down the eyes and sitting really nice and tall. Just settling the breath here. Taking big inhales through the nose. Exhales through the nose. Big inhale. Easy exhales. We'll stretch our right arm up, bend into the elbows and place the fingertips between the shoulder blades. Maybe staying here if you'd like, left hand on top of the right elbow. If you've got the range of motion, you can always reach your left fingertips underneath and grab onto the right fingertips to interlace them. If it feels impossible and you'd like to try and you've got one handy, you can always grab a strap. Never be afraid to use props. So maybe you want to scooch the right elbow behind the head a little bit more and then push the head back. And just breathe here. Release and we'll come for the other side. So take it step by step. Place the right hand on top of the left elbow and then maybe grab your strap. Or if you're a little bit more open on this side, you can always interlace the fingers behind you. Keep drawing the ribs and the belly in towards the spine. Think about how can you open more across the chest rather than scooping inwards. Slowly release what you've got and then we'll extend the legs out in front of you. So if you've got tight hamstrings and you already feel like you're curving into the spine, you can always sit on the edge of a cushion or a block and that will help tilt the pelvis up. But if you don't have one, you can always bend into the knees and that will keep the length in the lower back, or you can grab your strap again and loop it around the arches of the feet. Completely up to you. Remember, don't be afraid to use props. Using props can take the effort out and make it a little bit more easygoing. And then coming all the way up, we'll open up the right leg a little bit more as you tuck your left foot into the right thigh. Begin to lean your right shoulder towards that right leg. If you feel like you're scrunching along the side body and rounding the shoulders in, I would encourage you to use a block to prop your right arm on top of. And then place the hands together at heart center to keep the chest open. If you don't have a block, you can just imagine that you've got one and just keep the hands together. Just keep finding a stretch along that right groin and the side body. You can stay here if you want to get a little bit more into the right hamstring. You can come to face your right foot and then fold down. Again, don't be afraid to use a strap. And then coming all the way up as you tuck your right foot in and extend your left leg to the side. So take it step by step here. Do what you need to do to create length along the side body and openness across the chest. So if you're quite a tight person, you might find that the breath has already started to change for you. Your face might start to scrunch. But think about how can you create softness and how can you keep that softness? We use yoga as a tool to help create stillness in the body, in the mind, and in the breath. Come all the way up, we'll set up for a pigeon pose. So we'll start with the right shin forwards, left leg long behind the left hip. Set the base up. Square the hips off to the front of the mat. And if you find that this is super uncomfortable, you can try propping your right hip up with a cushion or the block. So you can stay here nice and tall. If you'd like, you can always begin to gradually fold forwards, maybe placing the arms on top of the cushion or the block. Remember to keep finding length along the spine. Once you feel a little bit more open, you can always fold down a little bit more, maybe propping the head on top of the cushion or the block again. Notice the breath. Is it still nice and calm? Staying here as long as you need to. When you're ready, lift all the way up. So we'll open up into the front of that left leg a little bit more. Tent onto the fingertips to keep the spine nice and long. You can stay here, squeeze your inner thighs together. If you like, tuck the left toes under and lift your hips up. Keep that left glute nice and active as you again keep squeezing the inner thighs together. And then we'll trade sides, so bring your left shin forwards, right leg long behind you. So take it step by step here. You might find that you need to prop your left hip up this time. You might find that you're perfect just sitting upright. You might find that you're a little bit more open, so you might find that you can fold down a little bit more. It's just releasing the expectation of what you could do on the other side. So how do you feel on this side? Are you still keeping the breath and the face nice and soft? Staying here as long as you need to. If you like, lift all the way up. We'll come to stretch into the front of that right leg. So tent onto the fingertips. Maybe you want to use your props. And just sit nice and tall. Send the chest forward. You can stay here if you like. Tuck the right toes under. And then keep pulling back on that left hip. So scissoring the inner thighs. Keep that right glute nice and active. Slowly release. And then we'll come to hands and knees. Shoulder stacks on top of the wrists. Knees hip width distance apart. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Inhale, drop the belly, pull the chest through, look up. And as you exhale, push the ground away from you, back of the heart towards the ceiling. And again, inhale, drop the belly, pull the chest through for your cow pose. And as you exhale, round the spine, drop the crown of the head, cat. One last time, inhale, dip the belly, pull the chest through. And as you exhale, push the ground away from you, back of the heart towards the ceiling. And then come to a nice neutral position. So step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Maybe scooching your right knee behind you a little bit more. Lizard lunge. Front knee points in the same direction as the toes. You can stay where you are on the hands. If you want to get into that left hip a little bit more, roll onto the pinky side of that left foot and then encourage the knee to open a little bit more. You can always add in a gentle twist towards the left as well. Maybe propping the right hand up with a prop. Staying here, or maybe grab onto the back ankle or the foot if you want to get into the right quad. If you feel like this is a little bit more impossible, you can always use a strap to pull that foot towards you. Remember not to force the body to go somewhere it's not ready to go. And then slowly release will come for the other side. Stepping your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Maybe scooching your left knee behind you a little bit more. How far that left knee goes depends on how open you are. Maybe using your props this side. So if you want to get into that right hip, roll onto the little toe and then encourage the right knee to open a little bit more. Again, you can stay here if you want to grab that back ankle or the foot. Go ahead. Don't be afraid to use the strap. You can also try lowering down onto that left forearm. There's always loads of things that you can try and explore, but there shouldn't be any pain. Just make sure you can just breathe. Slowly release. Take your time, we'll come back to a comfortable seated position, whatever feels good for you. Closing down the eyes. Placing your right hand on top of the left ear. Just gently guide the head over towards the right shoulder. You can stay here if you want to try. Extend your left arm to the left wall, fingertips towards the ceiling or maybe towards the ground, wherever you can feel the sensation. And then coming all the way up, we'll come for the other side. So placing your left hand on top of the right ear as you gently guide the head over towards the left shoulder. Finding a nice stretch along that right side. You can stay here. Again, if you want to try, you can extend your right arm towards that right wall, fingertips up or down. Having the fingertips up towards the ceiling might get into the forearms a little bit more. Just depends how tight you are. Slowly lift all the way up and just relax the arms. Noticing how you feel here compared to when you first started. Is the breath still the same? Did you manage to keep and find that stillness? Taking a big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth and let it go. One last time together, big inhale. Easy exhale. Staying here as long as you need to. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my practice with you. With love and gratitude. Namaste.